Today I'm talking to Robert Bairstow. He's on the Jere Metcalf team working with me here at Atlanta Fine Homes. Robert is 27, yet he's already selling homes in the multi-million-dollar price points. We're going to talk today about how only 16 months in the business, he's already been able to capture such great success so quickly. Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast is to share knowledge for realtors and raise awareness for Give Back Homes, where real estate professionals work together for social good. Jet Centers Aviation, Bentley Atlanta, Legends Global, thank you for your sponsorship. All right, so it's the Jere Metcalf podcast. Today we've got Robert Bairstow, who works with me in Atlanta, Georgia. He's been in the business barely a year and already does million-dollar and multi-million-dollar transactions. So really excited to have you with us today, Robert, to talk about what you're doing and what we're doing and how you're so successful in the business so quickly. Robert, fill in the blanks a little bit there and just tell us about yourself and how you got in the business, and give us a little bit of your story of breaking into this business so quickly.
Absolutely. Jere, thank you for the wonderful introduction. That's more than gracious. So basically, when I got started after college in my career experience, I started off in a sales role as an inside sales role through a company called Whitehead Associates. And there I really found a love for sales. But I did want to be more face-to-face interaction with the actual customer. So I gained a great relationship with people over the phone who I'd never even met, and kind of went from there and just forming relationships. I knew that that was something I wanted to do moving forward in my career. Also, was really trying to focus on a product line that I would enjoy selling. And I was born and raised here in Atlanta, grew up all in the two areas that, really three areas that Jere and I cover the most, which is Buckhead, Brookhaven, and Morningside, and took it from there. And it just so happened my last job was a block away from the Georgia Institute of Real Estate, so I would take night classes there, and came through after about, I think, 3 months there, and got my license. And before I even got my license affiliated with a brokerage firm, I had a listing, so I had to hurry up and do that quick, and it's just kind of snowballed into what it is today, and I really enjoy every day, and every day is different. The experience is phenomenal. The people are just what make this so rewarding.
So everybody listening to this probably wants to know, including me, how did you get a listing before you even were signed up with the brokerage?
So I rented a house with a couple guys, and we were planning on renewing the contract, actually, and they reached out to us, and we countered back with an offer, said, hey, we'd like to still stay here and pay the same price. And they said that they had no intention of relisting with us, that they were going to sell the house. It was an investment property for them. So we talked a little bit more, and I told them I had my license, which I did, and I told them that I would be honored to represent them.
That's great. So did you have to interview, or I think they just knew you well enough and they were familiar with you enough that they hired you, or how did that go down?
I did. I had a very intense interviewing process, and I actually competed with probably the top agent in the area at the time. And I shined, I guess.
So,
I don't know.
I was going to say, did you find out what made you shine? That's a great story, because you competed with the best of the best, and you still got the business. What do you think it was that put you over the top? Because you and I have worked together, but I always say, when you're competing with somebody who appears to be a mega agent with a big name, often you have the advantage, but you don't realize it. Otherwise, they're only interviewing the big names as a default mechanism as well. It's hard to go wrong this way, but I'd really like to get somebody specifically for me, which is why they would interview, someone that isn't that big name yet, like yourself. But what do you think it was? I know you well. I can see how you would have listened to them and really figured out what it was that they needed and been able to establish how you provide that for them. But elaborate on that. Was that a little bit of it, or am I off on that? And what was it?
No, yeah. So just to elaborate on that, I was very upfront with them about how this, I was new to real estate and this was, one of my first deals. But at the same time, I mentioned the fact that I had so much value in project management skills. The house did need some work, so we did about $15,000 worth of work to maximize the profits for them. So the other realtor quoted the house. She thought that it could list for $479,000, and felt that we could get $625 for it with a little bit of work. So after it was all said and done, the house closed at $612,500. So
that's huge. That's a huge success story just to start.
Yeah, just a small investment in the home really made a significant change in the long run. So.
And you were able, even being a brand new agent, you were able to establish that and know that. And that comes from us all remembering that even whether it's you're getting in the business or even when you've been in the business, remembering our strengths don't just come from our experience in the business, but our life experience outside of that, which is
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's an area I grew up in. I knew the area well. I've tracked it in the past. And, I told him straight up, I said, if you were listing this house for $479, I would buy it from you. So I thought we could get it much higher, and
that's huge. And I think a lot of agents get criticized for listing houses and saying, inflating prices, and you were able to establish that's not what you were doing and own up to it and close on that. And that's huge. And I'm sure that was a great way to kick off your business. And you've been in the business how many months now? I mean, a little over a year, is it?
So I'm a little over a year and a half, I'd say.
Okay.
I haven't counted exactly, but I believe it was the end of August 2015.
Okay, and I think right now, how many million? You have about $5 million under contract, is it? And that's just so far in 2017, a couple of months into the year.
I've got a little over $7 million under contract right now, and I've closed about, I think, just shy of $4 million. So
that's huge.
But by the end of March, I'll have all pending offers closed. So
okay, great. So kicking off a great year for our team, and I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but I want you to answer these questions on what is your greatest success so far, and what are you most proud of so far in being a real estate agent in your first year and a half of being in the business? You've had so many. I mean, that one story alone it's not a huge price point, but it's a huge success.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I don't know if I would put it as far as like success as a price value, but more so that I just felt like I found a really good niche here at Atlanta Fine Homes, and especially with you, Jere. I think we really have something special going on. I think that's probably above all the success. The clients are amazing. The price points are amazing, but I mean, above all, it's really who you're dealing with, where you're dealing with it on a daily basis, and I couldn't be happier where I am now, and I think that's a success.
Well, I love that you say that, because I think so much is in Isaac and Whitney, who work with our media company or head our media company that help us with so much of our marketing. We were talking about that, about this money. I mean, this business does pay well, but at some point, what's the money worth if you're not around good people and you're not enjoying who you're working with, and you're not just our clients that are so great, but also our team and the people that we're aligning ourselves with. And what is do you have any one source of business, or what would you say is your best source of business or best lead generator in developing all this business so quickly?
I would say that just getting people out there knowing that you're in the business. And I've had referrals come from some sources that I never would have expected a million years to come from. And, some of my best friends haven't referred me. So, it's a matter of where you are. And I think as many people in your sphere that know that you're in the business and you're actively working and you're actively doing deals and making stuff happen for clients, the more people that can see that, then the more it kind of speaks for itself.
Well, it's like that saying, it's a kind of a cliche saying in our business, but don't be a secret agent. Don't be afraid to let people know. And do you have any examples, especially, I mean, for me, I've been doing this for 13 or 14 years. Of course, I'm going to stop keeping count soon, but it's a habit. So I'd love to hear from you as somebody who's, for me, I find myself introduced, I subconsciously fit it into every conversation I have. And for you, you're newer in the business. How have you been so successful at, or a lot of this comes naturally to you, but you are very smart and you have a very natural way with people. Even when you're selling, you position yourself very well that people don't feel that way. Or what are some examples that you could give us of how you figured out how to, I'm taking a long time to ask this, but I want to make the point that I find a lot of people who are new in the business don't know how to put it out there that they're an agent without feeling awkward or without feeling like they're imposing upon people that they have to get a referral. And you've obviously are very good at getting the word out on that. What are a few examples of how you've done that?
Sure. Well, for starters, I think the company resources that we have here at Atlanta Fine Homes, the resort emails, the marketing we use for all sorts of, just excellent marketing pieces. Facebook's only something I really started doing about a year ago, and I created a page, and I think it was like 1 in the morning when I had it all done and how I wanted it, and then I sent out an invite to everybody, but it was at 1 in the morning, and by the time somebody sees it, maybe noon the next day, it's kind of already down in their feed. So I didn't get a lot of likes at first. So I've really been trying to amp up my likes there on my page, where I've gotten it to a point where I'm very happy with it, and people are seeing it, and it's worth the money to pay to advertise on it. So,
and also, well, go ahead. No, what were you going to say? Oh, and also, like, when you meet people one-on-one, and I know we've all heard about certain training programs where there's the, by the way, we're never too busy for your referrals. What is your way? Because that's become kind of we can't do that anymore because everybody does it, and when you're dealing with people, you're a 27-year-old selling houses for millions of dollars already. You got to be a little more sophisticated with it than that. So give us some examples, and some of this may come to you too naturally, but to give us some examples, being newer, you probably could think of some of how you've been able to do that.
Sure. Well, I can't give away all my secrets, but I do.
Oh, now we see.
No, my sales approach probably isn't salesy.
Exactly.
I try to be very genuine with all my clients, my friends, my family. Anybody that I interact with, I really like to spend a lot of one-on-one time with people. And I think above all of that, people appreciate that. And no matter who you're talking to, whether it's a longtime friend or somebody you just met, it's going to come up what you do. So, I tell them a little bit about what I do and how I've helped people. And, chances are I know somebody through somebody that they know about, looking for houses and that sort of thing. And typically, I don't push it, but a lot of times they'll say, well, hey, I'm really impressed with what you're saying here. Let me give you this contact. So-and-so is looking for a house, or, my aunt's looking for a house. And, they don't all develop, but, I typically send them a note afterwards, and just a $5 Starbucks card saying, get your next coffee on me. I appreciate you thinking about me. So
exactly. Well, there's two things. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just think as genuine as you can be, and I just try to be very, come across as very trustworthy and just somebody that's willing to do the hard work for you.
Well, I think what I hear you saying, if I were going to sit down and write a blog on what we just said, was there's three things. There's competence, and then there's authenticity, and there's consistency and follow through. You've got to be competent. You're good at what you do, and you stay good. You stay on the market. You're authentic with everybody that you work with, so everyone knows you've got someone competent who's going to be authentic that they can then trust, and then you're consistent in your follow through. I mean, we get so many leads, and you get a lead and you follow through, and you're consistent, authentic, and competent in doing that. So I think that's huge. And the fact in that is it's our business is such a simple business. We've got to just show up and deliver on it and offer that value. Go ahead. Go ahead. What do you say?
I mean, people have a large amount of people to pick from in this business, and they go with the one that is going to work the hardest for them.
And spend that. Well, and you said something else. Spend the time. I think there's two different. I feel like in our industry, there's almost two different ways to do business. There's kind of which there's nothing wrong with either one. So I don't want to come across the wrong way in saying this, but there is more of the streamlined, lower price point. You fit them through a system and a streamline, and it's kind of like McDonald's has a streamline, and it's the same exact thing every time, and you know what you're going to experience. But then there's the other end of that, where it's the more Ritz-Carlton, where as you get in the higher price points, which is what you've automatically attracted in this business in your first year and a half. But that is what you're saying. It's the authenticity. It's the time that you're spending with them, and a deeper level of competence that you've got in those price points that those clients need. And they also need your time, which you're able to provide more of than the agents who are your competition, who've been in the business so much longer. So I think that's huge. And my next question, I don't ask this often, but I'm feeling very compelled to ask you, is what does the company and the broker you matter? I'm going to read what I've written down here because I've got some notes I go off of. But does the company and broker you work with matter, and why, and how important is it?
I think it's very important, and I know that they would be pleased for me to say that, but I really do think it is important. There's been, I could at least count on two hands the amount of deals or the amount of referrals that have come through where the sole reason I'm really a contender is because I'm with Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's. I mean, say if I was an agent on my own with my own brokerage, starting a year and a half and some change in the business, having my own name on my own brokerage, probably not going to get a lot of business, but there really is a substantial power behind this brand. And we're about to celebrate 10 years here in Atlanta. The company itself has been around forever, but we really have a strong presence here. Small group of agents, but all very productive and very much in the know. It's a great.
Well, I think we have almost twice the level of productivity on average per agent than the next most high producing company in Atlanta does. So that's pretty huge. And of course I agree with you. But I love your answer to that. I think that's always a good insight, especially for somebody that's newer in the business, that you're coming in the business, and what your perspective and what your experience has been on and you just chose Sotheby's so recently. And coming into the business, I think a lot of real estate agents come in this business. A lot of people, I hear people tell me, I love to look at houses, so I want to be a real estate agent. That might be my favorite. So, of course, we all know there's a big aha coming for them if they ever get into the business. But go ahead.
Or they say, I want to create my own hours.
Yeah, which then you find out it's every hour and every day. But
it's which 12 hours you're going to work.
Right, or which 24, all 24. Because if you're not doing it, it's all the time. So you got to love it. But when you came in this business, what was your biggest, what was your biggest aha? Like, what was you come in, you have an idea about how this business works, and you get in it and you're like, oh, that's not what I expected. What would be your biggest? And maybe I say an aha, not just an unexpected, but an aha, and as then something you figured out about the business to also make you successful.
Sure. Well, I'll set the background a little bit because I was trying to be very thorough when I entered the business, and I knew roughly about 12 to 15 people that were in the business or had connections to the business, and I took every one of them out to breakfast or lunch before I even interviewed.
Which is great advice too. That was really smart.
Which I think, anybody in our position, being a real estate agent, would be more than happy to sit with somebody and educate them on the process. And now I'm sitting on the other side of it, and I feel very fortunate because I can be very direct and not sugarcoat things for them, because I feel like that helped me so much. But that being said, I think the biggest surprise, which probably shouldn't have been a surprise looking back on it, but I didn't really understand the whole aspect that I was, I knew I was affiliated with a firm. I was quote unquote working with a firm, but I really didn't understand that I was starting my own business. And I think that's been the biggest surprise. It's been a very pleasant surprise because you're making your own brand for yourself. You are your own boss, and I think that's a huge perk. But it's something that just I was kind of in the distance. I was focused on other things when I was first starting, and I didn't realize that. So, but that's been a very pleasant surprise. I've kind of taken that and run with it, and it's been a fun ride for sure.
Oh, that's great. So, I want to know why. So, what did you expect when you came into this business? Did you expect that you received clients and you kind of ran with them, or what was your, just out of curiosity, what did you think it was going to be, and when did you figure? How quickly did you figure that out?
I wouldn't say I had high expectations coming in. Just kind of wanted to get my feet wet and see how it was and where it took me. But I had reserve funds saved up. Everybody told me, save 3 months. I had at least 6 or 7 saved up, and it just so happened I didn't need to dip into any of it. I really just kind of jumped in and fell in love with it, and success followed. So.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Pretty low. I was thinking about making about half your salary, but I didn't continue to do.
Well, you've done a lot better than that, so that's great. And let me ask you something else. A lot of people come to this business and they say, you come in, you think, you made a comment about you don't know where your business, you don't always know where your business is coming from, especially when you're new in the business. You said there are people, and I had this exact same, I still have the experience, I think we all do, is you're surprised where your business comes from, and you get in the business and you expect it would come from other places and you don't receive it from those places. Has there been anything that's come of that where you've tapped into new ways to pick up business? I mean, for example, I think you knew this coming in though, is you've got this really great ability to do project management, and whether it's on the listing side, your first listing, you made their property worth over 600 instead of $500,000, or maybe less than $500,000. And on the flip side of that, since we've been working together, we've represented clients, and you've represented clients on our behalf that were purchasing, a building that you were quickly able to assess for them, this is going to be a lot worth for this much, for $20,000, it's going to be worth $100,000 more. For $100,000, and this is where you need to put it, it's going to be worth $500,000 more. But I'm taking a long time to ask that question. But what is there any for you, in that you have kind of experienced where it's like, oh, I thought my business was going to come from here, but it's actually coming from here, and it's actually turned out to be better. Do you have any examples? And I'm kind of throwing this at you without giving you time to think about it.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I thought 90+% of my business was going to be first-time home buyers, but I've been very pleasantly surprised with that, and I would say maybe closer to 40% of my business is first-time buyers. So that being said, I can't. I don't know which bucket's the best or where people like to spend their time. I personally love first-time home buyers. I love buyers who are looking for a downsize. I love buyers for an upsize. There's all sorts of buyers out there, and they're all so much fun to work with. Every now and then you get clients that don't excite you that much, but those relationships don't tend to last very long. So you really have to have a personal connection with your agent and your client, and everybody that I've seemed to run across thus far has been that. But I definitely would say the project management side has been a huge aspect. That's really what got me started and everything, because the listing we sold for $615 and some change, the next door neighbors called me right after it sold, and they said, "You did a phenomenal job with that place. We want you to do the same thing to our house." And we did the same thing. We invested a little less. I think it was like $10,000, and they sold their house for more than they expected.
Wow, that's a small investment for real estate. That's huge, and you're able to help them do that. So what is one thing, and it's not been long, it's just kind of on the same, but it's asked in a different way. Is there one thing you wish you would have known about real estate when you came into this, or about being a real estate agent? Is there anything you wish you knew then? Is there anything you wish you knew then that you know now?
I would say that the education process in the start, I wish I knew more about contracts when I first started. I would say walking into this, I had a million questions, and that's just another huge shout out to Homes and our brokerage here, that they just do a phenomenal job of one-on-one consultation. Everybody talks about training and, programs and whatnot. And that might have been one of the bigger deterrents for me, coming to homes. But, a broker in our office, Jennifer Pino, she and I came to Atlanta Fine Homes at the exact same time. And she was actually the second broker here in the Buckhead office, Nancy C being the primary broker. And Nancy has all the time in the world, but Jennifer was new. She and I kind of connected, and I would sit in her office for 2-3 hours at a time, just talking about contracts and just making sure that I was correctly representing my clients.
Wow, that's huge, and that we have that support is great as well. And even our sales meetings, I go just to make sure I'm on top. I'm always impressed with the information they give us, and that we actually tend to know more than our co-op brokers. And nothing against them; they're wonderful to work with. But I'm always surprised at how on top of things we're able to be because of what they give us.
Absolutely.
So is there anything, I've got a few more questions for you about technology and but while we're on the topic of business development and how successful you are, is there anything that you can think of that you would want our listeners or people, even people in the business or getting in the business, you would want them to take away from this?
From a technology aspect?
No, this is just in the business. This is in the business development. Just being successful, business development, why you're good at what you do, why other people are successful, what you've learned about it, just from that kind of arena.
I would just say it's the little things. I mean, it's personal, touch. It's getting in front of your clients on a consistent basis. It's sending them handwritten notes. It's doing, paying a little bit to do marketing on social media. Print marketing. It's kind of going away, but kind of not. Some people love it, some people don't. And I try to do more meaningful ones like Christmas cards and birthday cards and that sort of thing. But in general, I've just said the little things.
Yeah, well, it's the little things that go a long way that we don't think about.
Oh, definitely. And I think you're better off when you're first starting focusing on a small group than trying to cover everything. If you have to, if you might lose a deal here or there. But if you're really servicing one client and their needs and their wants, and you do a terrific job for them, then they're most likely going to pass that along to somebody else.
I think that's huge, and I think that's good advice for all of us, because as you get in the business a long time, you pick up a lot of leads and a lot of clients, and you've got to focus on who's important. And when you're new in the business, it's, we feel like to be a good agent, we've got to sell every house. I can remember feeling like that. I'd see a sign going on the yard and think I should have gotten the listing when there's and then you get into it and you realize there's not, to be a very successful agent, you don't need that your share of the market doesn't have to be that big to keep you busy and keep you very successful, and even keep you a top producing agent relative to agents in general in our business. On that, and we're going to show what is have you found a tool in this business that you like? And this is shifting more into the technology supporting all the business development success that you've got. Is there a CMA or not a CMA, a CRM, or any kind of tool in our business that you found has really helped you out that you want to share with us?
Well, you and I both use the Referral Maker.
I was wondering if that you were going to bring that up. Yeah, yeah.
You get on me for keeping mine updated, and I've got more. So
that's right, because I'm not sure whose is more updated because you keep. I love this topic.
But no, I really do think that's a great resource. I think above all and beyond is word of mouth. I think that's your biggest resource in this business. Talking to other agents, what's coming up on the market, what's sold, what's happening, and then on the client side, just being there with them, encouraging them to do what's right for them. It might not be buying a house. It might be, holding off.
Exactly.
And just, I can't stress enough, just the people in the industry, clients, everyone, how important that is.
That's huge. That's great advice.
But technology aspect, I do think our company does a phenomenal job. We've got this app that everybody can, put wants, needs, advice on, and there's this great search bar. So if you say one of your clients is looking for a plumber, you type in plumber, and probably 100 different options come up of different people who've referred so and so.
You got to be with Atlanta Fine Homes to use that one, but it's a good one. Yeah. And that's Yakno. Yeah. What's that?
That's one of our in-house secrets.
Exactly. That's a good one. It's huge for us. So, and just on getting us in your head a little bit on your success, you're so level-headed. You're so incredibly wise for being in the business in such a short period of time, and so you're really a natural. I mean, you are. Are there any books that you want to recommend to us that you've read or that you want to put out there to share with everybody? Or maybe is there a top one?
Honestly, I focus more on the market. So I read the Business Chronicle here in Atlanta. Curbed. I love looking through their articles. The Buckhead View is great. It's you've actually been a few times.
Yep.
And it really does keep you in the know. And the more you can keep involved and knowledgeable about your area, I don't have to know stuff about Marietta, and I don't have to know stuff about Alpharetta and these areas that I don't per se specialize in. Certainly, I've sold homes there, and I've had listings there, but it's really I'm trying to focus now that I've kind of worked different areas and worked different clientele. Trying to focus on the areas that I know well, so I can better service my clients.
Awesome, that's incredible. Everybody always has a book and a bestseller, but that's great. It really is. Just focus on your market, focus on your focus on your specialty, focus on your craft, and be good at it. And it really does attract the right clients. And you're an obvious testimony to that. Robert, thank you so much. Go ahead.
For book referrals too. So I certainly love enjoying reading books. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.